You're looking at a car for the rich.
Okay, passing power coming up now. Yeah, this is... I'm glad the camera's facing back at me. I'm not using this footage.
This is a 6-figure costing pod that blocks out poor people noises. If you drive a Lucid Air, you breeze right past the Girl Scouts at Whole Foods. This is a vehicle for pretending that success is just having the right mindset. Lucid Air, the official car of taking a week in Delray Beach, Florida, just to clear your head after all those Zoom meetings. Lucid Air. Lucid Air. Brought to you by hearing the phrase, "Tomorrow's another day," when you bring up to the owner the latest news from the Middle East. Lucid Air. Brought to you by the phrase, "Tomorrow's another day," when you mention that your sister's Lyme disease has entered her bloodstream. Lucid Air. The official car of the indifferent phrase, tomorrow's another day, when you mention that your wife's miscarriages weren't miscarriages, and her OBGYN is appearing before the Honorable Wendy Beetlestone, Chief Judge of the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. Lucid Air. Never have the unfortunate tragedies of this, our rotten year of our absentee landlord, 2025, seem so distant. This is the new best electric car I've ever driven. Better than what Volvo is putting out. Now, there's an asterisk here, but I'll get to that in a bit. Lucid didn't set out to build a Tesla competitor because Lucid is the Eagles and Tesla is the Chiefs in Super Bowl 59. Pure domination! And anybody who likes Teslas these days and is vocal about it is just trying to be a teacher's pet suck up to tech broligarchs. Teslas are cheaply built, uncomfortable, unreliable adult diapers for tech sims who lay on their backs with their mouths open and pretend that their King's cum tastes like vanilla Dunkaroos frosting. Lucids are for independent contractors and consultants who aren't bound by golden shackles. They can tell the boss to lick their labia because working out of scope is not in their contract, plus they're getting paid either way. Driving a Lucid is like taking the Corpo life path in Cyberpunk, only you don't get bushwhacked in the afterlife in the tutorial level. The interior fitment is what I expect from Honda. I didn't expect this type of QC from a startup. The power. There's too much. You don't need 819 horsepower and 885 foot-pounds of torque. But when your car costs half as much as a house in flyover country, you expect certain things. You expect to be able to outrun those street kids in their Infiniti G37s with straight-piped VQ engines, their teeth grinding from synthetic skooma and white monsters. The Tesla Model S Plaid is faster than a Lucid, yes, but the Lucid Air can full-bore accelerate and not hurt my neck. I think what is going on here is the computer is ramping up an exponential curve over the course of maybe 4/5 of a second instead of full electrons immediately when I push down the pedal. This is also the first performance EV that doesn't make me sick when accelerating. What I don't like right now is that it is difficult to search for the trunk release. Normally, on most cars, it's down here. And in this case, it is not. So are they going to make me go through a touch screen to be able to find out where the trunk is? There it is, trunks and locks. So, okay, front and rear. So press that. Oh, look at that. If I press it again, will it go down? Look at that. Huh. Let's try the rear. Yep, there it is. But mechanical door.
Alrighty, no one there, merge time. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, there's another Lucid.
Oh, hello friend. And I got a brake, brake. Okay, passing power, coming up now. Yeah, this is... I'm glad the camera's facing back at me. I'm not using the camera. I'm not using this footage.
Well, you could just blur it out if it's on there.
All right, I dig this. I dig this a lot. You know what I dig the most about what that just did? I want to know how it didn't hurt my neck. Because what was the other EV, Nick, that you remember that just hurt my neck the entire time?
Was it the S? The Plaid that you reviewed?
Well, yes, that was just stupid. That made me...
Which is funny, because this is...
Lucid Air, brought to you by Creastering and doing after-hours trading and covered calls during the scripture reading. So, the secret benefit of the Lucid Air is that this is also for people who can't get over their range anxiety and will pay any amount of money to not have to worry about running out of electricity. This has a 500-mile range. How did they do that? Gigantic battery pack. Make the car very, very long so it fits a huge battery pack. That's it. Lucid Air, the official car of the Rhode Island School of Design, and making money when you left. That's half compliment because this car is very tastefully styled. Understated, but not understated so much. I said this is a car for the rich, but this is not a car for the wealthy. The wealthy drive Toyota Land Cruisers. Rich people drive Lucid Airs. There's a difference. You don't want people to come up begging to you. You don't want to look like you're rich, but you want people to recognize. They want you to recognize that you had the ability to study abroad. You took psilocybin in Lisbon. And now you're doing mushrooms with DC lobbyists whose only experience with Philadelphia is Pats and Genos. Blech. But once you're rolling, you see the Constitution. And you wake up in Old City with your vomit ego waffling between the cobblestones of one of those alleyways. So you call an Uber and get driven back to your Lucid Air at the Glenside station of SEPTA so you can go back to your Luxo condo in King of Prussia. Lucid Air Grand Touring. A car for auditioning side pieces. Just because your money isn't high doesn't mean your self-esteem is on the same level. The Lucid Air is a six-figured car for five-figured mindsets, because old money doesn't need the attention of people who are too young to remember 9/11 as it happened. The Lucid Air is Halloween wealth. A luxury costume from an automaker who popped up overnight like Spirit Halloween inside of an abandoned urgent care. Real wealth is exempt from self-consciousness. But the Lucid Air isn't as self-assured. This is a car for people who put wine in the fridge. This is the car you buy when you own 11 pairs of loafers and not a single pair of socks. This is the car you own when you have an entire wall of your living room. By the way, this wall faces the outside window so people can see in. An entire wall in your living room filled with Air Jordans. You're not wealthy. You're just rich. You're not a shot caller. You're just a manager who passed their daddy issues on to their financial advisor. You want to impress people who aren't interesting enough to be worth impressing in the first place. The Lucid Air Grand Touring is a luxury electric matchbox car, and it's awesome. What? I can't like something and still break its balls? Look, the Lucid Air has a Tesla-sized chip on its shoulder, and I like this about it. They had something to prove when they came onto the scene, because they showed up late, and they had to make up for lost time. Yet, nothing in this car feels rushed. It feels like actual car people made this. Basically, it's a Tesla without all the baggage that comes along with giving money to the world's oldest edgelord. with his conversation starter design choices that end with your removal from the group chat. The Lucid Air works because it's an electric car that doesn't feel like a love letter to Silicon Valley. It's a car that doesn't feel like it was built with the goal of one day allowing in-car purchases using crypto. This feels like an actual car instead of just a computer you can drive or a software-loaded afterthought that the company reverse-engineered out of one of their gas-powered clunkers. If Tesla was one big pattern interrupt for the auto industry, then Lucid Air is the refinement of that disruption. Sure, Tesla beat them to the market, and it has better brand recognition and cultural relevance, but the Lucid Air is just plain better. You don't get the same fit and finish here. Things don't feel cheap despite costing 1/4 of a house on the Eastern Seaboard. This is more comfortable. It can go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and it can gain 200 miles of charge in 10 minutes on the 900-volt architecture. Just one big boba straw of electricity drinking, just... It's like a guy who really likes boba tea, but he's in like the really crappy one in the strip mall. But he gets his boba tea, the biggest one they can sell him, and he's just outside with this straw that's the width of a Red Bull can, and he has this gigantic boba tea, and he's on there the sidewalk as this is how my brain works. As the automatic cart pusher goes by, and he's there sucking down bobas as the pee stain expands in his pants. Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. In fact, it's good enough that the little annoyances become noticeable. For instance, getting things in and out of the trunk turns you into Sideshow Bob stepping on rakes. It's a terrible trunk design. It's not. This thing could be a liftback, but it's not. It had this weird little portal of a trunk in the back that, yes, it's very deep, but it's not very high.
I heard of this before, and I'm seeing it for the first time, and this, you see how it's slightly... It's here. So if I have something heavy, like my camera case, I go to lug it in, there's my head. I have to take something heavy, squat, and then put it in. So this is the motion with a Lucid. It's holding something with weight out here. Yes, I know I have wheels on this and I can put it in and out, but not everybody does. And then I know I'm a klutz. If I get something, see right there, it hit on, oh, there's a lip down here. It's a very beautiful car. Don't get mad at it, Brian. But it's this, your glass is right there. So if I have it here, okay, I'm ready to stand up, bam, right there. You gotta remember, you gotta, then you can stand up. Hatch back.
But if that's the biggest problem this car has, then it's pretty much a blessing. This is a dual motor all-wheel drive layout. It delivers 819 horsepower and 885 foot-pounds of torque. Car and Driver listed the MSRP of the 2023 Grand Touring model at $127,100. And for that price, it had better be good, especially when you don't have the immediate name recognition to get people to trust you. Fisker made a dog's breakfast out of their EV and then sent the business tumbling off a cliff like loose gravel and senior year GPAs. You basically have to get it right the first time or close enough, or that disappointment will become your brand identity. But even if this Lucid Air doesn't handle as well as it did or accelerate as fast as it's capable of accelerating, the Lucid Air Grand Touring would probably still be worth recommending for its range alone. Our volunteer Chris replaced his Volkswagen ID4 with this because it didn't offer enough range to get him out of state to its parents' house and back without charging. That isn't a problem here, because under optimal conditions at full charge, this can supposedly get up to 516 miles of range. Now, Again, ideal conditions means right here at the beginning of fall, where it's just warm enough to not need the heater, but just cool enough to not need the air conditioner, then yes, that's possible. That also means this battery will outlast your bladder, no matter how patiently you're working on that Red Bull. It'll probably outlast your road trip playlist too, although a playlist of ska music wouldn't be that long in the first place. Lucid Air Grand Touring, the official car of the silent brag. Lucid Air had its origins in a company that only ever planned to make EV batteries and drivetrains for other automakers, not make the whole car themselves. But making your own EV is kind of inevitable when you're co-founded by a Tesla vice president and you hired away one of the chief designers of the Model S. And yet, despite having Tesla brain trust in positions of power, this does not feel like a Tesla-adjacent product. It's very much its own thing. In a sense, it's almost like a mission statement. This is a car first and a tech demo second. This is one of the most aerodynamic cars on the market right now, with a drag coefficient of around 0.19. And the suspension sort of feels like S-Class Mercedes, to where it has this reassuring comfort. The stability that just says, there, you can relax. I know your fight or flight is always activated, but you can take it easy. We've got it from here. In that sense, the Lucid Air is a representation of money itself. They say money can't buy happiness, but that's kind of a garbage statement, and it always has been. It can buy stability. It can buy reassurance. It can buy peace of mind. And those are the building blocks of sustainable happiness. And look, we've made that point before, but it's arguably truer now, particularly with the cost of living being what it is. So when you have money, you don't just want to buy something disposable and frivolous. You want to buy something that's as good as it is useful, as fun as it is symbolic of all that hard work you did. And the Lucid Air Grand Touring fits that description, because you do work hard and you do deserve good things, even if you had rich parents. And maybe you didn't know just how hard all of this was going to be when you were younger. Hometown memories are made of businesses that operated at a loss. You go to the comic book shop or the mom and pop video store. You'd talk to whichever friend of yours was working there, or you just hang around thumbing through the racks, and you assume those places were going to be there forever because you were 16 and you didn't understand overhead. And now that you're a business owner, or you're in the corporate world, or you're in construction, or you're in the tech field, you can see the exhausting complexities of adulthood. You can see that a lot of the things you thought were successful were only successful on the surface. But a Lucid Air? There's no mistaking that for surface level luxury, is there? And yet, that shouldn't be why you got this car. You should get a Lucid Air Grand Touring not just because you can afford it, but because it's better for what it could do for your reputation. You earned this car, and the rewards of that hard work don't have to be for anybody else. So yes, this is the greatest electric car I've ever driven. But you remember that asterisk I talked about way in the beginning of this video? This is still a startup company. It's smaller than Tesla, and they may claim they may fix it. They may claim they may send out a tech to fix your car, but tech bros claim a lot of things. Duffman says a lot of things. But despite all that, this is the electric car experience that you were promised 10 years ago. I just hope Lucid keeps up their end of the bargain and services these things.